Good morning and welcome to the EZFX Trading Room broadcast for Tuesday, October 25th, 2016. My name is Bradley Freed, and for the next 20 to 30 minutes, you'll be joining me for a review of our watch list, starting with our watch list from last week, actually. And we're going to update that list, going to the charts, seeing what's happened with these trades and currency pairs, and also adding any new trade opportunities that have popped up since we last were able to spend some time together. If you have any questions during the broadcast, I have a chat room on this page. You can post your question and I will answer all questions together at the end of the broadcast. If you're watching the recording, please feel free to go to the community menu. You can send me a private message. You can post to the Trading Room group, or you can also send me an email at ezfxsignal@gmail.com. So let's go ahead and get started and review our watch list. This is actually the watch list from Thursday. And we'll just see what we were watching last week. We were looking at the New Yen sell, Aussie yen sell, pound yen buy, pound dollar buy, euro pound sell, and the pound Aussie buy and pound New Zealand buy. These were on our watching portion of our list. In our new and open trades, the euro dollar buy was new. The euro New Zealand buy was new. The Aussie Swiss sell was open. Dollar CAD buy was open. Dollar Sing dollar was open. That was a sell trade. And then New Zealand dollar buy, dollar kroner buy, and pound Swiss sell, which was a trend trade. So let's go ahead and jump over to our charts. We're going to start with the new and open trades list and then move over to the watching list and then add on anything new that we found since last Thursday. All right, so we're looking at the euro dollar buy and the euro New Zealand buy. Those were new trades as of last week. Let's see what those have done in the interim. Euro dollar has still not really set up for us, right? We have a class A signal right here. Class A supply zone. We have divergence inside demand zone, sorry. And prices move sideways after making this big drop here. I've drawn a trend line above price here. It never broke above that trend line, so we're not in this trade yet. This is actually the most recent version of the trend line that I've drawn. So what I'm waiting for, because I think this pair has a lot of potential to move further down, actually. I'm waiting for a trend line break. This is becoming a buy bubble. We do have class A, but I need to see a break above this trend line here. If this moves sideways for a while, then this line continues to drop. And when it does break above that, it's not going to be so far away. If it was to jump up right now, this stop would be about 87 pips. So it's really not that bad. But we do need to see that confirmation. When I do get confirmation, I have some nice pivots above. I have a weekly pivot here at 1.10444, and I have another weekly pivot up here at 1.1179. So those would be the targets I'd be interested in. But as of now, we're still waiting for this to set up. And because it's not imminent, I'm going to go ahead and leave it as new because we're almost there. But it's not ready to trade yet. So just keep that in mind. Euro New Zealand is the next one we're looking at. And this one I actually sent out as a trade signal because it did fire off. We had a class A demand zone form here. Trend line break sideways, but then we had a triangular moving average color change. No bubble. No bubble on this one. And it did break higher, made higher highs. It's dropped back down as the euro has dropped a little bit. I'm trying to get to the 50% Fibonacci retracement level. I did send out a signal on this on Monday. And then we're also trying to get to the final profit target, which is the weekly pivot at 1.5557. And bear with me, my internet connection just reset, so I need to wait just a second before the charts will move. At any rate, this is actually an open trade. So I'm going to go ahead and change this on the list to open on the 1 hour. And it is also a signal trade. Next, we have the Aussie Swiss sell. Yeah, my charts are still stuck, so just give it just a second. There we go. All right, so Aussie Swiss is the next one I want to look at. It's over here. Nope. There it is. All right, so this was a sell trade. And the sell trade did start, and then it jumped back up, and it's headed towards the stop. So the exit signal was the triangular moving average color change here when this demand zone appeared. And if you're in this, you should be out of it, hopefully at break even or maybe a little worse. But this is now closed. On an early exit signal. Next, we have a dollar CAD buy. And this has hit its first target. So that means we move the stop to break even. And we have an opposite class A here and a sell bubble. So that means you could close the entire position, or you can see if you can push through that level further on. My personal preference, given what the dollar is doing, would be to hold on and see if you can go for a little more. But we've already been able to take, we were risking about 125, and we were able to take 260 at the first target, and we're going for 434 at the next one. And that's just another supply zone above. So I'm going to call it open, but with the caveat that the stop is already at break even. So let's just show that our stop has moved to the entry price. Dollar Sing Dollar. This was a sell trade, and unfortunately it did stop out. It dropped for a little while and it started to retrace up. It never dropped again. It has not produced another sell signal as of yet. Although this is a sell signal here, but I'm going to kind of hold off on this pair since we did get stopped out on it, because it appears that we're trending in the buy direction. If you got in here, then that means that we were risking about 48 pips on this trade, and it is now closed. All right, dollar, I'm in New Zealand dollar. So next one. New Zealand dollar sell, or New Zealand dollar buy. So this actually, I sent out a close signal last week, and we had an opposite direction Class A signal form, so we closed it out, closed the remainder of the position. That meant that we were able to from our original entry here, we were able to take profit of about 105, 106 pips on the remainder of that trade. I believe our initial profit target was this weekly pivot at 105, so that's just about right. And that was one of the better trades from last week. Next, we have the dollar kroner, an open trade. That is still open. It's taking a while, but it's still looking good. Last I checked in on it. Yeah, so we made higher highs. It's moving towards the first profit target. This looks like it's just poised to make a jump higher and maybe finally get to our first profit target. We can take partial profit and move our stop to break even. This is looking promising indeed. So that is still open. Pound Swiss sell. Pound Swiss sell sadly has stopped out. If I go to the 1 hour chart, a little bit more clear. What I was hoping for is this would break down and we'd revisit the low made during the flash crash. It did jump up and exactly touch our stop. So that means if I go to my FX book, I can see exactly the pips that we were risking. And again, this was just a normal trade. It was a trend trade setup. It was an idea that didn't work out, unfortunately, but it was sized and risk managed like any other trade. So we weren't taking an inordinate risk on this setup at all. And if we go to history, then the pound Swiss, we were risking 132 pips on that setup. And we only lost 0.87% of equity. So it was sized to less than 1% risk. I'm just marking that was indeed a signal trade. I'll be sending out a close signal on that as well. Everything from our list that we had as of last week. The addition is the Euro Newsy. So at present, our open trades, if we go back to the open trades list, we have 2 trades open. The dollar kroner and the Euro Newsy at this point in time. So jumping into our watching list, let's go ahead and run through that real quick. New Zealand sell, this is one we were watching. Let's see if any of these is set up. Actually, what I want to do is just, I have kind of a list of things I'm looking at right now. So the dollar kroner, pound Swiss is over. I'm still not thrilled about the idea of taking a long pound trade. I think those are going to fall again, but I'm not going to get into it right now. Euro Newsy is also open. Unfortunately, this is dropping a little bit. Euro Aussie, this is one that I've been looking at. It's also dropping. I've drawn a trend line here, sort of an interim trend line, connecting this wick and this wick. And it touched that, moved a little bit above it, and then it's dropping again. So I'm still waiting for a good buy signal on this pair. But I want to make sure this is in our watch list. So put the Euro Aussie buy. Next, I have, let's see, pound Swiss. No, I don't have pound Swiss. A dollar peso, that's the other one I'm looking at. I'm also looking for a buy trade on this. The dollar continues to strengthen against the peso. And I mean, the peso continues to strengthen against the dollar, I'm sorry. So I've drawn a trend line here, and it didn't break above that trend line. If we kind of shrink the chart down, you can see what I was doing. I was linking this wick, and this wick for this top trend line, and then these two wicks for the middle trend line. Still waiting for a buy setup on this. I do think it'll happen, but it hasn't happened yet. This pair continues to drop. The safest bet would be to wait for this longer term trend line break up here. But if we got confirmation in the form of, see, we already almost have a buy bubble here. We don't have it yet. But if we had a triangle moving average color change and a big close above this trend line, and we continue to have a Class A zone down here, then I would consider taking a trade on the break of this trend line here. But this is a safer trend line up here. So the other one I'm watching is this dollar peso buy. On the 1 hour chart. Pound Newsy and Pound Aussie, I still like these, but they're long pound trades, so we have to be extra careful because these have not done well recently. You can see the Pound Aussie's actually dropped after breaking through this line here. That's a 4 hour chart view. Let's go to the 1 hour and see what it looks like. The 4 hour, it's easy to see that big trend, which I like. See, this actually was long and it broke out. Now it's dropping, and the triangle moving average has changed color again. So on the 4 hour chart, what I'd probably do is let's just draw a second trend line. Overpriced, kind of like that. And we'll do the same for the Pound Newsy because it's kind of doing the same thing. Not exactly, but I'm just not convinced. I think pound pairs are going to go lower. I still believe that. However, in the case of the Pound Newsy as well, it's moved fairly consistently lower. And on the 4 hour chart, if I saw a triangular moving average color change on either of these and a break above these trend lines, I would consider buying it and going for these Fibonacci retracement targets. But if it drops lower and makes a new low, then I think all bets are off, and we'll wait a little more for the setup to happen. Now let's see, Newsy N. This is another one. Well, we've already talked about that one. CAD Yen. This was actually a pretty good looking one. It broke out and it's actually already moving higher, so it's a little bit late to get into this one. Aussie CAD, that's right. This is one I was looking at. Aussie CAD and Newsy CAD. And Euro Swiss. Wow, Euro Swiss is finally happening. So this is interesting. If you look at the Euro Swiss, we've had this long trend here. And we finally had a breakout and a close above this trend line here. So that's something I'd want to buy. I can draw fibs on the most recent move to define the trade space and select profit targets. We'll put a stop below the recent low here with targets at the monthly pivot. Should be greater than 1-to-1. Final profit target at the 78.6%, or this weekly pivot up here would be fine. Just a little bit beyond that, a little bit more aggressive. And that's a new trade. I'm on the 1 hour chart. I'm waiting for the candle close before I'll get into this pair, because this could retrace all the way back down, and then we would just wait a little bit longer. Usually pays to wait till the end of the hour to get into the trade. But this is a new buy trade. Euro dollar is also one I keep watching. I've drawn a conservative trend line above price here. I think we talked about that a little bit. No, we didn't really. Yeah, we did. It's this new buy trade, so we've already talked about that. Okay, so Aussie CAD, Music CAD. These are both sell trades. This one I've drawn a pretty good trend line under price. It dropped real hard here, and now it's making higher highs. It's pretty volatile, but I think this trend is weakening. So I want to be ready to take a trade on this pair. So I'm going to put Aussie CAD sell on here. And then Music CAD sell as well. This is already kind of set up. I would wait for triangular moving average color change before getting into this, but we already have a Class A supply zone up here to put a stop above, and several pivots another end. We could draw fibs on this as well to set targets. But I want to see a little bit more confirmation before I take a risk on this setup. So Newsy CAD sells the other one. And these other setups I'm just not going to worry about for now. Euro pound. I think that is worth looking at. Let me just take a quick look at that. Like we have a pound yen potentially setting up here. This is one that I do want to look at. So I've drawn a real conservative trend line over price. We have a triangular moving average color change. No bubble. We have Class B divergence back here. A big close above this, I might consider buying it. Not quite there yet, but this is something I've been looking at since last week. Let's keep watching that one. New Yen, Aussie Yen, those are two others I was looking at. So Aussie Yen, nothing really is happening right now. New Yen, this is set up and dropped and it's retracing. This may still have some possibilities. Aussie Yen, we're going to forget about. Pound dollar buy, Euro pound sell. Okay, Euro pound sell has set up. It's making lower lows. You can trade this and put a stop above the recent highs here. If you put it all the way at the top, the stop will be too big. If you put it where it is right now, you'd be looking at about 162 pips of stop with targets at the 50% retracement level and the monthly pivot at 0.8569. You could wait for a retracement up. I tend to think this is a very shallow drop and it's going to pop up again, so I would wait a little bit on this. But this is also something that we should keep looking at. And pound dollar buy. And I'm real wary again about trading against the pound. We're going long pound in this market, but probably the pound yen would be the one I'd be most interested in taking. I'm looking for pound dollar. Let's see if I can find it. Just add it new again. There it is. Okay, so this is we're looking at a buy trade. Again, we have a pretty nice trend line here. It's been broken sideways. It popped up, it's dropped. It looks like it's going to drop further. Not really excited about taking a trade on this pair at this point in time, but we can watch it on the 4-hour chart and see if something more promising sets up. And we can even draw a second line on a more shallow vector like that, and a break above that trend line. If it's a big candle, I might consider taking a buy trade on this pair. But as of now, not really. I think it's going to consolidate and it's going to drop further. And I don't want to take a loss on this. So that's really where I'm at right now. The most important trade to look at this point in time is the Euro Swiss. I think that's going to be our next buy trade. And I'm going to get ready to send out a signal on that. Depending on where this candle closes, we need at least 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio for the initial profit target. So I may move the stop to make that happen. But I think this looks pretty good. So let's just jump over and make sure, see if there's any questions in the live trading room before we sign off. And this morning it's just me. So if you have any questions, like I said, you can go to the community menu. You can actually just click the link up here. You can click this link and go to the trading room group and post there. You can go to community members, find me, I'm EZFX, and send me a private message. Or you can just send me an email at ezfxsignal@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. All right, so that's our trading room for today. Thanks for watching. And we'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the trading room to update our trades and bring you any new trade ideas that pop up between now and then. I will also be, of course, updating you by email with trading signals and updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great trading day. Bye-bye.